And a survey finds religious people will believe in something even if there's no evidence. Shocker.
Yes, says our resident scientist. 3 out of 4 British Muslims don't believe that Hamas committed murder and rape in Israel on October the 7th, Steve, a shocking poll claims. 3 out of 4, that's 75%. You know, that's a lot of people. It's astonishing, actually, how many people... I think it just goes to show that how watered down what happened, or the truth of what happened on October the 7th last year has become. The narrative... Because everything now within culture war is about the narrative. Who can get the optics right? Who can win the narrative? And at the moment, very much, surprisingly, actually, Hamas are winning the narrative war. Because you have to equate Hamas with Palestine. It's impossible not to, because they are in charge and they're the reason that we find ourselves in this situation at the moment. And obviously it's no surprise that it's 75% of the British Muslim population, because they are very much going to be on the side of Palestine. And they too equate Hamas and Palestine together in the same sentence. But I don't think they see the issue. I think they just see this as a war of freedom and that they're fighting for something righteous, when at the end of the day, if that's what they believe, they're much, much misguided. Because what we've ended up here with is a terrible situation on both sides that started with the raping and murdering of young people, particularly women, just randomly. And as a result, we had this war, and Israel, I think, rightly are trying to rid Hamas, or Palestine, of Hamas, and now it's just become this war of words.
So, Chris, the numbers are quite shocking, aren't they? So not only 75%, when you look at it like that, if that 75% is split down the middle with people who answered, no, they didn't commit this, and I don't know. So that's grouped together. But more shocking for me was it 62% of the general British population believe it happened. That's an awful lot of people who think it didn't.
Well, yeah, and I know this is a bit of it's not a very exciting way to argue it, but I'm not convinced that all these people do know what they're talking about. There was a report recently by a journalist who's asking people with a clipboard, you know, do you support... well, actually, he was talking about the Houthi rebels, but it's the same principle. He's asking kids on a campus, do you support the Houthi rebels? Will you sign my petition in favour of them? Kind of implying they're a cool thing. And all these young kids are going, yeah, OK. And they're just not... They're not in on the detail of it. So I think some of this, at least, is that, don't you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. A phraseology of the way these polls are conducted is really, really important because, you know, I mean, 46% of those questions are saying they sympathised with Hamas.
Right, well, at that point, obviously, I'm wrong, and that's clearly quite committed.
No, but I am. Right.
I don't know, I don't want to condemn everybody, but
this is the problem with the culture war, right? OK, this is where Lewis is right, and it's the only time Lewis is right. When he talks about team world, people will choose a side. They don't care what the thing is. They're told that it's their side or not. Is this on my side? Yes, it's on my side. OK, then I sympathise, I agree, etc., etc. There's no critical thinking. It's just groupthink. And, you know, perhaps on both sides we can be criticised of that. But when it comes to something as serious as this, you really, really should engage your brain and start to have a look. That's not to say that we can't criticise Israel for what's happened recently, but at the same time, there are still hostages being held. We don't know what the status of those hostages are.
And I mean, it's a shame you can't have additional questions to these people. Say, how are these hostages being held then? If you almost, it's like you think the events of that day didn't happen. How do you think the end result ended up being like that?
Yes, it's a good point.
Well, that's fair. But I suppose what this story is also trying to say is it's trying to tell us that there's a lot of people in Britain who don't have traditional, whatever they are, traditional British values. You know, for example, if 52% of British Muslims believe it should be illegal to show a picture of the Prophet Muhammad, that's kind of an issue, isn't it? Apparently 16% of the overall public think that as well, which is astonishing. I don't know why they would think that.
Well, I just stood outside a mosque on a Friday because...
Bad place to do a survey.
Yeah, but I think you're right, Krista. I just... Some of this is difficult to fathom, and it's a worry. You know, traditionally, when we fought wars, it's us and them. But us and them are all in the same pot now. We're all walking the same streets. And I know it's not really us and them, and to use language like that is a dangerous way to go. But at the end of the day, we do have... they walk among us and we walk among them. And it isn't like, you know, when we were fighting Germany, there wasn't like there was Nazis wandering around London. not in large groups. But whereas now, and I'm not equating all Muslims with Nazis, don't get me wrong, what I'm saying is we have a situation now where the culture war is global, it's in social media, and everybody can be influenced. So you can't just assume your neighbour is on your side.